This video is sponsored by Švyturys. Nope, it's actually not. And I'm sure all the Lithuanians watching will already know that that kind of sponsorship is illegal, since the advertising of alcoholic beverages is banned in Lithuania. Just one of the measures the country has taken to fight alcoholism. So in today's video, let's look at the complicated relationship Lithuania has with alcohol and how it might affect visitors and migrants to the country. From some award-winning beers to traditional Lithuanian mead, the country has had a rich heritage and culture focused on certain alcoholic beverages. According to Lithuania's tourism promotion organization, certain traditional beverages have always been an integral part of the country's history. I drank beer and mead, it ran down my beard. Apparently, that's how all Lithuanian fairy tales end. Mead produced according to Lithuanian custom was written about as far back as the 16th century, with historians claiming that Lithuanians might have already been drinking mead made from honey during the Mesolithic period. The much younger practices of locally producing beer and wine have also grown significantly over the decades. Of course, you'll probably know that alcohol is best enjoyed in moderation, but this is something that has proven to be a challenge among certain parts of Lithuanian society. In fact, the country's mean alcohol consumption in 2018 was 14.14 liters per year, making Lithuania one of the countries with the highest levels of alcohol consumption in Europe. For reference, the mean consumption across the 28 EU countries for that same year was 11.32 liters per person. Unsurprisingly, a 2019 World Health Organization report noted that Lithuania had a very high alcohol attributable burden of disease. Lithuania's severe drinking problems are well known. In 2013, a UNICEF report found that 20% of children between the ages of 11 and 15 had been drunk at least twice, the highest measured rate in Europe that year. In 2014, nearly a quarter of Lithuanian women engaged in binge drinking, more than women in any other country. And also in 2014, it was found that nearly 10% of Lithuania's population suffered from an alcohol use disorder, which was among the highest of all nations reviewed. So what exactly is the reason for this high rate of alcohol consumption? Well, it's complicated, and the reasons are numerous. However, some of the most frequently cited answers relate to high unemployment rates, the societal legacy of Soviet control, poor mental health care, and a lack of information and public policy regarding alcohol. Another source notes that people with addiction to alcohol are concentrated in smaller rural towns. They drink strong beer, cheap spirits, and some illegal spirits. Since regaining independence in 1991, Lithuania has introduced various laws and policies to combat alcohol abuse. More recently, on June 1, 2017, the government declared a war against high alcohol consumption in Lithuania by changing some laws. Successfully passing new legislation has meant a few things. First, advertisement of alcohol was totally banned. The legal age to purchase and consume alcohol was increased from 18 to 20 years. The opening hours of alcohol trade was shortened, from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. and 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Sundays. Maximum alcohol content by volume in drinks sold in open-air restaurants and on fairs and exhibitions was restricted to a maximum of 13%. And finally, alcohol trade was forbidden at beaches and at sports events. The ban on alcohol advertising in Lithuania is something that I find quite interesting. Even though similar alcohol advertising regulations exist in Norway, Iceland, and the Faroe Islands, Lithuania's policy made it the first European Union member country to have such a ban. The legislation bans alcohol advertising from all foreign and domestic TV, radio, printed media, and the internet. There are a few exceptions, including brand names and logos at alcohol sales points, on equipment and supplies, company cars, etc. But overall, it shouldn't be possible these days to see a beer commercial on Lithuanian television or a promotion for vodka on a billboard. But wait, what's this? And this? And this? Well, if you look at the small text, you'll see that these ads are for non-alcoholic products. Sneaky, right? In fact, this strategy has been one of the main methods of circumventing current restrictions. This whole thing is so comedic to me. It's so ridiculous that you can have a giant poster with a big logo of the beer company, and as long as the words non-alcoholic are somewhere in the ad, it's okay.
Visiems, kurie kasdien kartu daro daugiau.
The same goes for these commercials I found on the beer company YouTube channels, with the only difference being the word "ne alcoholinis" in the lower corner of each video. I don't think any person looking at these ads is tempted to get a non-alcoholic version of these beers. But maybe that's just me. While the government tried to fight this loophole, the Lithuanian Supreme Administrative Court ruled that advertising of non-alcoholic beer can't be restricted. The law firm representing Švyturys Utenos LLus noted on their website that advertising of a non-alcoholic beverage in Lithuania is permitted if it is sufficiently identifiable to the public, like if it includes an indication of non-alcoholic. It goes on to say that even the visual similarity between an alcoholic beverage and a non-alcoholic beverage, where the non-alcoholic beverage is marketed and known to consumers, should not be considered to violate the absolute ban on alcohol advertising. Because of this creative circumventing of the rules, many believe that the advertising ban is ineffective. With the adjusted age limit and restriction of sales hours, one source states that many underage drinkers have simply switched their nights out for nights in, drinking in apartments instead. Meanwhile, others hurried to buy alcohol before the time that stores stop selling. But others insist that something must be working, since alcohol consumption levels have declined in recent years. In fact, the country cut alcohol consumption by 17% between 2015 and 2019. Lithuanians consumed about 15.4 liters of alcohol per person in 2015, but this has dropped to 12.8 liters in 2019. So if you're a foreigner visiting Lithuania, how will the country's attitude towards alcohol affect you? Well, for anyone over 20, it shouldn't be too big of an adjustment. The biggest thing to keep in mind if you plan on buying alcohol for a house party or enjoying back in your hotel room is the limited hours of alcohol sales, which again are 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. on every day except Sunday, and on Sundays between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. And if you're young and coming from a country with a low age limit, you may not be able to buy alcohol in Lithuania due to the 20-year age limit. From a daily life perspective, all of this explains why you'll see ads for non-alcoholic beers and ciders rather than their alcoholic equivalents. It's also my own personal theory that betting and gambling ads have filled the gap, and that's why those are so much more prevalent. But again, that's just my own guess. So, what do you think of Lithuania's attitude towards alcohol? Share your opinion by leaving a comment. Again, a special mention and thank you to the members of the channel, and of course, thank you to everyone else for watching. I'll see you next time.